What's up, everybody? Welcome to ESTNN. My name is Malik, and today I am going to give you an introductory lesson to the Overwatch League and everything that you need to know to go into Stage 2 tonight prepared. Now, while you may have caught some games from Stage 1 or just tuned in for the finals, you're probably still confused on some specifics of the game. Ultimate Economy. What's that? Goats? I only see a hamster and a monkey. What are the positions? What's the purpose or the goal? The list of questions goes on and on. Now, as I sat down with my friends and family and tried to get them into Overwatch, I realized that there's so much going on that it can lead to a lot of confusion between the flashy abilities, the plethora of heroes, compositions, the synergy, but don't worry. I'm here to give you the breakdown on everything you need to know to get ready for Stage 2 of the Overwatch League. So, let's start with game modes and maps. Alright, so before we get into deep about compositions and things like that, let's just set the stage. Let's talk about the maps. So there are 4 different types of maps that get played in Overwatch League. The first is a control, where 2 teams will fight over one objective. They'll have to hold that and capture that point to 100% in order to win the round. Assault maps are where there's 2 capture points, an attacking team and a defending team, and the attacking team must capture both of the points to win. The defending team obviously must stop them. There's escort maps, where teams must escort a payload or a car all the way through the map to the end. And then there's hybrid maps, where teams have to capture the objective and then escort the payload all the way to the map again. So those are a little bit more complex. Now that we've set the scene, you see the 3 different game modes across multiple maps. Let's talk about the heroes that populate the world. Now there are 3 roles in Overwatch that you can choose from: tanks, support/healers, or damage. Tanks are built to take damage and have larger health pools than the other classes of heroes. Damage heroes are the ones who usually finish off the enemy and dish out most of the hurt, while support heroes are responsible for keeping everyone on the team alive. They usually have extremely small health pools, but offer a host of abilities that allow them to keep people up and fighting. Now, whoa, abilities. Hold up, what is that? Well, each hero has their own set of abilities and passive skills that affect the flow of the game. These are usually the flashes that you see on screen when it gets really convoluted. But let's break down some of the more frequently used heroes and their abilities. There are a lot of heroes, and in order to save you time, we don't want to go over all of them and their abilities, just some of the ones that are the most important in the meta right now. So first up, we've got Deva, and she's got this really cool mech that she pilots. She's got fusion cannons. They're these 2 cannons that just keep shooting continuously. They don't need to reload, don't have any form of ammo, so it's really cool. She's got boosters on the mech that allow her to fly around and move it just in about any direction. The defense matrix swallows any incoming projectiles and can even swallow ultimates. And then her micro missiles are just a little bit of extra damage. Now her ultimate is a self-destruct, and what happens is she ejects out of her mech, and that mech explodes and causes this big bombs. And it's people like Poco who we see, 3, 4, 5, even 6 kills come out from these bombs at a time and just do devastating damage. Next up, we got Arisa. She's got a fusion driver. It's this awesome gun that just shoots a lot of ammo. It just does really good sustained damage. She's got a Fortify ability, which stops her from getting charged by Reinhardt or frozen by Mei. And then she also got Orb that she shoots out, and it actually sucks in anyone near it and allows you to kind of focus fire. And of course, she's got her Protective Barrier, which makes her an awesome main shield tank. And her ultimate is the Supercharger, which does the same thing as Mercy's attack boost, is it just allows the people who are closest to it to put out some extra damage, allies of course. Next up, we've got the almighty and German engineered Reinhardt. Now, he has his rocket hammer as his primary weapon. He just swings this thing around and deals loads of damage to multiple enemies at a time. And he has his barrier field/shield, which he puts up in front of him and protects his team from damage. Now, Reinhardt can charge forward, pinning one enemy and, pushing them against the wall and doing massive amounts of damage while also stunning them. He also has a fire strike in which he swings his rocket hammer and sends this big bolt of fire whirling at the enemy. It's really awesome. And his ultimate is Earth Shatter. And what this does is this knocks down anyone who is hit by it. They're knocked down and stunned, can't do anything except look for the sky and pray. This peanut butter loving ape carries around a Tesla cannon, and he fires electricity that goes through shields and barriers, and it just does lots of little damage over time to a lot of enemies. It can do multiple enemies at once. His rocket on his back, his jump pack, allows him to jump into the air in one direction and kind of glide, and he can aim these for some really cool flanking options and even to get around enemies or just to jump right into the backline or escape to get some health. His next ability is the barrier. He puts this little bubble up and it just protects him. It's not a very strong bubble, but it does do good to negate some damage, and we've even seen it thrown on Deva bombs and in front of Farah ults. And his ultimate Primal Rage allows him to just freak out, and he just turns into this big mean ape, and he just gets 1,000 health and knocks people around. And it's just great to watch because sometimes people even get knocked off the map. For the last tank, we've got big bad Zaria. She has this giant particle cannon that can either be fired in a beam or launch bubbles, and then she has this barrier that protects herself and absorbs the damage, and it actually makes her more powerful. She also has the ability to put one of those barriers on a teammate, and if that teammate gets attacked, it actually still makes her more powerful. Her ultimate ability, the Graviton Surge, throws out this big black hole and allows her to pull in everybody, and they're trapped up and they can't go anywhere. Since there's a lot of DPS, we're going to run through these guys quickly. First up, we've got Bastion, and he can turn himself into this giant turret, this machine gun monster that can just rip through shields. He's really good at holding defenses. He can also heal himself, and then his ultimate turns him into a tank where he can jump around and explode stuff and just really do damage. Next up, we got Doomfist. This guy's super cool. He's got a hand cannon. He shoots shotgun bursts out of it. He can charge it up and rocket punch at people. He can do a seismic slam where he jumps forward and slams the ground. And he can also do an uppercut that lifts people into the air and stuns them. His ultimate is a meteor strike where he leaps into the air, disappears, and then comes smashing back down with a giant explosion. Genji is one of the Shimada brothers. He throws shurikens as his main weapon. He can either throw 3 in a straight line or 3 in a fan. He uses his sword to deflect incoming damage, which is really cool. He does a swift strike where he darts forward, and if he kills someone, it actually resets it so he can do it again. And then his ultimate is a dragon blade, where he pulls out his blade and it just lights up. This dragon comes out and he slices through enemies with ease. Next up, we got the other Shimada brother, Hanzo. He has a bow and arrow. It's really cool. It does massive damage, but of course it has a slow rate of fire. He can launch a sonic arrow, which allows you to see enemies through walls. He has a storm arrows where he can fire several really quickly. He can do this lunge jump where he can get out of bad situations, or he can get up higher, but it allows him to change direction mid-jump. And his ultimate is the Dragon Strike, where he summons these 2 spirit dragons that just come forward and kill everything in their path. Next up, we got Junkrat. Junkrat has a frag launcher. It just got a buff. He's got 2 concussion mines where he throws them out and explodes them, and it pushes you back, and it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does push you back. He's also got a steel trap that he throws down, just like a giant bear trap, that will hold an enemy in place and just allows him to pelt them with damage. If he dies, he will also drop a load of his grenades, which can be awful for the enemy team. And his ultimate is that he gets this motorized explosive tire that he revs up, lets it go, he can drive it, and then blow it up somewhere. And there's a lot of cool things, a lot of cool clips, especially with Jake in the professional scene. Next up, we got Mei. Mei has an ice gun where she can actually freeze people, and it can also shoot icicles as like little bullets. Her ability Cryo Freeze allows her to surround herself in ice and she'll regain healing. And then she also has her Ice Wall, which will build a literally giant wall of ice that blocks off enemy attacks and damage and things like that. It kind of acts as a shield. And then her ultimate is that she can deploy this little robot that causes a blizzard and freeze all of the enemies caught inside of it. We got Farah. This is the eyes in the sky. She's got a rocket launcher. It shoots rockets from above. She's got her jump jet. She can shoot herself up into the air, and then she can also keep herself hovered with those. She's got a concussive blast, which allows her to shoot it from her wrist, and it can push people around, or she can use it to keep herself in the air, gain some momentum. And then her ultimate is a barrage, where she unloads just tons and tons of missiles and just destroys the enemy. Next up, we got the Gravely Reaper. He's got 2 Hellfire shotguns that can absolutely rip through tanks. His first ability is a Wraith form, where he becomes a shadow for a small period of time. You can't do any damage to him, can't stun him, but he can't use any of his abilities or fire his guns. His other ability, Shadow Steps, allow him to transport, just literally teleport himself to another location as long as it's within his sight. and his ultimate Death Blossom allows him to spin and just fire off his shotguns just continuously for about a few seconds. Next up, we've got the Cheeky Tracer. A lot of the promotional materials. She is the Overwatch League logo. So she's got these 2 pulse pistols, shoot really fast. She can blink where she just kind of teleports forward like a small distance, and she can do that 3 times. She's also got this recall where she can go back to a position where she was before and regain health from wherever she was. And then her ultimate is the small pulse bomb that she can blink in and throw it on you and then recall out and you'll explode. It's only good really to kill a single individual, but you can get some splash damage with it. And last but not least, we've got Widowmaker. She's got a sniper rifle, and the longer that she aims down the sights, the more powerful that her shot gets. She also has a grappling hook to let her get in and out of situations, get the positional advantage. She's got a venom mine that allows her, you can throw it in the choke and figure out if an enemy's going to come flank you. And then her ultimate is the Infrasight, where she gives her and her teammates the ability to see the enemy no matter where they are on the map. It's really, really cool and helpful. Let's talk about the amazing support lineup. First up, we've got Ana, and Ana's primary weapon is this biotic rifle that shoots darts, and these darts can either heal her allies or damage her enemy. But don't worry, Grandma's got a side piece too that puts the big baddies right to sleep. Ana has the ability to shoot a sleep dart that will put any enemy to sleep, and when they are attacked, they will wake up out of that. Now, if things are getting intense and you want to go in for a big attack, well, Ana's biotic grenade not only does healing to any allies caught in the blast, but any enemy that's hit with the grenade can't be healed. For her ultimate, she has the nano boost. Think steroids mixed with pure adrenaline and whatever they gave Steve Rogers to make him Captain America. With this boost, a single ally gets juiced up and deals out more damage, while also Brigitte's main weapon is a rocket power flail that smacks people around and heals her team in the process. Her first ability, Whip Shot, allows her to throw the end of her rocket flail forward and knock enemies back. Her second ability is this small repair pack that it gives some armor to whoever she throws it onto, her teammates of course. Brigitte only heals when she's dealing damage, so she's usually played aggressively, and to complement that, she has a shield that can be used to block incoming damage. She can also use her shield bash ability to charge forward and stun an enemy. Now her ultimate ability, Rally, makes you and allies move faster while also providing armor to surrounding teammates. Next up, let's talk about Lucio. Lucio's main weapon is the sonic amplifier that fires in burst but also doubles as the best Bluetooth speaker ever, except it only plays 2 songs. So the first song heals allies around him and the second provides a speed boost. Lucio can switch between them freely, allowing his team to move from place to place quickly and also to keep multiple people topped up health-wise when you're in a fight. Now if you watched any Overwatch, you've probably seen or heard of Doomfist.
Not a whole lot. And well, she can constantly just try and knock you off. Hey, there you go. But perhaps change things in Yobi. Looking for a Rascal with a blade of his own this time around, not quite getting the same effect out of it instead.
On an individual scale, Poco gets hacked, has to run for the hills, takes a lot of damage. Point gets a double boom by
Verging around the point, he's got Jayne, no cooldown for the jump pack for Jayne.
He lost its best efforts, can't quite seem to connect finally. Has to get it done manually.
This is made possible by Lucio's ability to push people back with his sound amplifier, similar to Brigitte's flail. Lucio's second ability, Amp It Up, increases the effects of whichever song he's playing, speed, or healing, and his ultimate sound barrier provides him and allies with a protective shield over their health and is great in initiating those fights. Next up, we've got Mercy. She has the Caduceus Staff and the Caduceus Blaster. The staff has 2 modes, one for healing and one for boosting attack damage that works on a single individual, and her Guardian Angel ability allows her to fly to allies. Now, she has this really cool ability called Resurrect, which actually brings people back from life. The only problem is that she's pretty vulnerable when she uses it. Now, Valkyrie is her ultimate ability, and it allows her to fly, and all of her abilities are enhanced, making her pretty hard to kill. Next up, we got Moira, and Moira is what you would call bipolar. On one hand, she emits this healing spray that heals her allies, and on the other hand, she does damage to enemies through a tracking beam. Moira can also shoot out this orb that floats around, and she can choose if it does healing to her allies or does damage to her enemies. Now, her second ability, Fade, allows her to go invisible and disappear, which can allow her to escape from things like Gravs and May's Ice Storm, and is really a good movement ability. And her ultimate, Coalescence, makes her shoot out a big beam of heal and hurt. Not only does it heal allies, but it can also damage enemies, so this is great if you have a bunch of enemies that are grouped up and your Reinhardt is in the front fighting. It allows you to not only heal your teammates, but also damage the enemies. And last but not least, we've got Zenyatta. Now this robotic monk, he can throw orbs at people as his primary fire to do damage. He can throw orbs of healing onto his allies, and that heals them over time. And he can also throw orbs of discord, which makes an enemy take more damage when the ball is attached to them. And his ultimate Transcendence allows him to do massive amounts of healing and himself become invincible, and he can just move around really fast, and he can keep a team alive during Deva bombs and other things like that. Alright, so now you know all of the heroes, you know all of their abilities. It's time to get down to composition. Each team is composed of 6 players, 6 heroes, and that allows for a lot of different variation and allows you to choose a composition. And you have to kind of balance your composition as some abilities counters others and make them almost useless.
His team the edge in this next fight, and Choyobin eats the grab from Carpe.
So let's talk about one of the most famous compositions, the one that's plaguing the Overwatch right now, known as GOATs. So this composition is composed of 3 tanks and 3 support heroes, and it's aimed at long sustained fights. Now it's usually comprised of Rein, Zaria, and Deva as your tanks, and Brigitte, Lucio, and Zen as your supports, swapping out one of them for an Ana or a Moira, depending on the map and the situation. The goal of this is to have high sustain and high mobility, and with Brig you can kind of control some of the dive heroes, and she can also use that stun to open up a lot of great opportunities. And because she heals when she does damage, this rewards an aggressive playstyle, pairing her up with Rein, allowing you both to push forward and swing away. Now, this composition requires extreme communication and coordination between different heroes, using their abilities, alternating, making sure that you always have a way to stay alive. Because usually the way these fights go is one person goes down and they just get steamrolled. That's basically when you have this 3-3 meta, you have 3 very beefy heroes that are meant to alternate and take damage, and then you've got 3 support heroes who are charged with keeping them alive, and each one heals in different ways. So by losing one of those tanks, you lose a 500 health pool, soaking in damage from the enemies, whereas if you lose a healer, you have no way to keep your tanks and your other healers alive. Some of the biggest combinations that come with the GOATs meta is Brigitte going in and stunning the enemy Reinhardt, which allows her Reinhardt to use his ultimate and shatter the ground, knocking the enemy team down completely, allowing your team to walk forward and clean up the mess. Now, another big play that we see often is when you throw in the Zaria Graviton Surge, and then the Deva Bomb gets thrown in, so that way all of the enemies are locked up in one spot, and the bomb can go off and just kill them all. Easy peasy, right? Not so much. See, with Lucio's Sound Barrier and Zenyatta's Trance, what you can do is use those at a perfect timing, and that will negate the damage that the Deva Bomb does. Keeping your team alive as a support hero, this is what you're supposed to do. And saving these ultimate abilities for the right time is something that's very vital to the GOATs composition. So now you have all of the basic knowledge that you need to know to be prepared going into stage 2 of the Overwatch League. If there's anything else that you guys want to know, want me to expand on more, just let me know down in the comments and we can make more videos. My name is Malik. Thank you guys for tuning in.